will call to order the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors business meeting Tuesday, December 21st, 2021, 7 p.m., board meeting room, 39 Main Street, Southeast Chatham, Virginia. Roll call.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
Present.
Mr. Farmer?
Here.
Mr. Ingram?
Here.
Dr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Scarce?
Here.
Mr. Warren?
Here. I would ask that you observe a moment of silence with us, please. Thank you. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to recognize a few folks that I noticed in our audience tonight. We have Ms. Bowman, who is an ex-Board of Supervisor member and chairman. And we have Mr. Blackstock in attendance tonight, so it's always good to have you all. And I'd also, I noticed we have the mayor of Chatham, Will Pace, here tonight. Thank you for being here, Will. And also we have George Henderson from our school board. It's good to see you, George. I know you've had some health issues recently. It's good to see you out and about and feeling better. Also in attendance tonight at both our 4:30 meeting and in here tonight is our newly elected gentleman for the Board of Supervisors, taking office January the 1st. Mr. Dalton is here. Good to have you, Mr. Dalton. Mr. Cheshire is somewhere in attendance tonight. He was at the 4:30 meeting. And then we have Mr. Barksdale, who is a past board member and newly elected. It's good to have you all here.
Morris Stowe also on the front row right there.
Yeah, he's from,
Yes.
he's going to be recognized a little later.
I got you.
Mr.
Yeah.
Dudley, just hold on
Just
there.
letting you know he's here.
Yeah, I saw him, but he's going to.
You got it.
We're going to talk about him in a minute.
All right.
Are there items to be added to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to add the following items to the agenda. Add reassessment update and reassessment extension approval as item 8B under presentations. Add fire and rescue ARPA usage guidelines adoption as item 12A under new business. Add law enforcement market rate salary adjustments as item 12B under new business. Also add financial items from work session as item 14A. And we also want to move items 17 and 18 after item 14 on the agenda to make it as follows. 15 board member reports, 16 county administrator reports, 17 closed session.
Mr. Chairman, do you just want to take all the financial items from the work sessions, just do that as a block under consent?
I think we originally did agree to that, so yeah, that, we could put that under.
We'll just basically make that 7Q, I guess.
It's a block vote.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay. Do I have a second on the motion?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion? All in favor, cast your votes, or opposed, cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the amended agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on approving the amended agenda? Okay, please cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the consent agenda?
I have a question.
Okay.
On 7E, is Mr. Slimp here to represent that?
No, sir, he is not.
My question is, this is dealing with the fire and rescue. That's in 4 quadrants. And of course, it's not as easy because it's not a 7 split like our districts for the supervisors. Where were these names? Was these names presented to the fire commission? Or did they review the names?
No, sir, these came from the chairman and vice chairman at our agenda meeting. I think there were recommendations from various board members. So these are not staff recommendations.
Okay. How about Mr. Sellers? Was he asked to continue? Does anyone know?
Is that Bert Sellers?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion? Okay. Please cast your votes. Please record the vote. Motion carries on 5-2. All right, we're down to presentations, and we've got the reassessment where we moved on the agenda item. Mr. Arnold.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'd like to provide you all with an update on the reassessment project and an extension on the certification of the reassessment record. Yesterday, the Circuit Court signed an order to extend the certification of the reassessment record for a period of up to 90 days. County staff are currently working through negotiations for additional days for informal appeals meetings with our contractor, Bright Minds. County staff have also engaged the Virginia Department of Taxation's Property Tax Unit in an advisory capacity to ensure quality in the reassessment process. So myself, as well as county staff, are here to answer any questions you might have about the reassessment extension. And we are also going to ask the board to endorse the reassessment certification extension and to authorize county staff to continue its engagement with the Virginia Department of Taxation to serve in advisory capacity to ensure the quality in the county's reassessment process. Are there any questions?
Questions from board members? Any questions? Comments?
Did you say comments?
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm only 1/7 of this board, and the decisions that we make, as you well know, tremendously impact our citizens. And quite frankly, I'm ashamed of this reassessment. I got hit just like some of you guys. And so in part, I want to apologize. And I go back to that letter where it sounded like a SWAT team was going to come in your house and look at your stuff. And it was poorly written. Should have never went out. It was a waste of stamps, but it was. And so I just want to say on behalf of myself and my colleagues that we're going to do everything we can to fix this mess because you guys deserve better. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry that between that letter and your assessment, it took you through these wonderful holidays with agony and worry as to what you may end up having to pay. And like I said, we're going to do all we can to fix it because you're worthy of a better assessment than what's been delivered.
Mr. Chairman, I also like to make a comment. You know, and I've seen...
Mr. Arnold, don't go anywhere. We might have a question.
Yes,
go ahead,
sir.
Mr. Dudley.
You know, I've had quite a few phone calls. I think all persons up here on the board has had phone calls on this. Mine went up extremely. all I did was mow the grass, and if they charge you for that, then, but, I've got some folks here from my district. I think Steve Worley's going to speak, but, I've had a widower from my church. Hers went up 200%, and she just don't have it. And I know one instance we may speak of tonight went up 400%. And I really feel bad because there's some folks out there that can pay it, and there's some folks out there that absolutely just can't afford it. And I promise you what we can do is work on it as much on our end as we can, and that's what we'll do for you folks, I promise you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dudley. Mr. Scares.
Yeah, first off, I just want to thank the county administrator and our county staff for reaching out to the state on this. This gives us the ability to either verify the numbers that Bright Minds put out for our property values, or we'll have to take another avenue. For me, the main thing is if property values were raised across the board evenly, I'll be happy with the reassessment because we can lower the tax rate in the April timeframe. And that's my intention. I'm only one board member, and we have a new board coming on. But I suspect we're going to be able, with the current reassessment values, lower the tax rate by some huge amount, maybe 10 cents if I had my way. So that will pretty much put you at the same amount of taxes you're paying this year when we get into the next year's budget. Now, I see some head shaking out there. I can't help it if you don't understand that we will lower the tax rate. I'm just telling you that I'm only one vote, and that's what I'm going to be pushing for. So I hope that this will be as painless as we get into the next budget cycle as it can be for you guys. And we are completely aware of the angst that this has caused people, and that's why the county has reached out to the Department of Taxation to come in and help us figure this thing out. So again, give us the 90 days that we're going to take to go through the numbers on this reassessment, and give us some time to make sure what Bright Minds did was correct, and hopefully everything will work out in the end for you.
Thank you, Mr. Scares. Anyone else? I would echo the comments of my colleagues. I do agree, Mr. Ingram, we as a board need to apologize for the shortcomings here, and we certainly do that. We hired an independent contractor that indicated that they had the technology and the ability to do a lot of things, and certainly now we're seeing that maybe that wasn't true, but we're working closely with our Commissioner of Revenue and the Taxation Department, and it is certainly our intent. We had discussions earlier today that included the gentlemen that are coming on the board, and so they're up to date on that information too. So we will be working to get this corrected for the citizens of Pittsylvania County, because you deserve for us to do better. And
That's right.
We will plan on doing better and getting this corrected. And I felt like that was unanimous by the 7 gentlemen sitting up here, and certainly it includes the 3 new gentlemen that are coming on, that they want to do the right thing to serve the citizens of Pittsylvania County. So we will be making every effort to do that. And all you can do when you feel like something is wrong is you can say, I'm sorry, we apologize, and we'll try to fix it. So please bear with us as we do try to fix it. Thank you.
Can I add one thing?
Yes, sir, Mr. Farmer.
I'm pretty sure when we have public comments from the citizens, it's going to be folks wanting to talk, and, we can't talk back. It's just a listening session. So please know that the dialogue is not going to be able to go back with you guys tonight. So please continue emailing, texting, calling us. This 90 days is only in your favor to help us all to get a better answer, because right now we don't have it. That's pretty simple.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. Anyone else?
And it's not costing us anything to do this.
Yeah, the state is not charging us to come in and do this, so it's not going to cost our taxpayers for their services. So wanted to let you know that too.
Could you
Good point.
somewhat expand on what the state's going to do?
Sure. Well, some of what they're going to do is just look at like ratio studies. They're going to conduct their own ratio studies to determine assessment levels and equitability within different property classes. They're also going to look at, to make sure that the whole valuation of property and the reassessment process is in accordance with industry standards, which is the IAAO, which is a professional organization that governs all this. And then they're going to look at, just quality control in data collection, as well as ensure that, information is being provided to the citizens, as it should be. So it's pretty broad in scope.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the board have any questions, comments?
Well, and I think we ought to thank Judge Moreau for being willing to sign the order, giving us that extension.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that the board has a motion that staff's requesting that they adopt to just confirms that we're on the right path here.
Yes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I think Mr. Ingram's got something to
Ingram's
read.
got to read it.
Yes, let me read this to you. This is 8B. I make a motion to approve the reassessment certification extension and to authorize county staff to engage the Virginia Department of Taxation to serve in a advisory capacity to ensure quality in the county's reassessment process.
Second?
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, please cast your votes. Please record the vote. Motion carries unanimously. Before we do the next presentation, during the consent agenda, we approved recognition for Mr. Stowe. So I think we'd like to go down front and do that, Mr. Ingram.
Yes, sir.
It's fantastic.
I've known this gentleman for, I don't know, about 4 decades, I reckon, and between the funeral home and church and school board and everything else. But we just wanted to recognize and honor you tonight for your many, many years of service and to tell you how grateful we are. So I have the honor of presenting this resolution of appreciation to Morris C. Stowe, and it reads, the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors adopted the following resolution at its business meeting on December the 21st, 2021, whereas Morris C. Stowe was born on February 10th, 1934 in Pittsylvania County, and he was the son of Moscow and Rebecca Stowe of the Axton community, and whereas Stowe was a graduate of Broswell High School, and whereas he married Loretta Lee Andrews on July 8th, 1961, and have now been married for 60 years, having 3 sons, Noel, Norris, and Norman, and whereas Stowe worked on the family farm, Dan River Mills, Fuller Tire Company, Pritchard Oil Company, and Wren Yates Funeral Home, and whereas he accepted the Lord at Bethlehem Baptist Church, and later he became a deacon at Sharon Baptist Church, and is now a member at Hillcrest Baptist Church. Whereas Stowe worked with youth in the Tunstall Marching Band for a number of years, even after his sons had graduated, and supported the County Graduate of Merit for the past 18 years, and he has served in various roles in Boy Scouts, including becoming a member of the Order of the Arrow in Scouting. And whereas Stowe served on the school board from 1995 until 2015 in the Tunstall District, and he also served as the Tunstall District representative of the Planning Commission from January 1st, 1990 until December 4th, 2021. And whereas Stowe has given freely of his time, knowledge, and experience to fulfill the duties of the position, and whereas Stowe has strived diligently to promote the health, safety, and welfare, general welfare of all county citizens, now it be resolved that this board expresses its sincere appreciation to Stowe for the noble dedication of his time towards the development of the county, and be it further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be presented to Stowe at the board, on the board's behalf, adopted this 21st day of December 2021. There you go, Ms. Stowe. If you guys can come up and take a picture, would you like to say anything?
Naturally.
Oh, man.
They attended a lot of meetings and said this is a dangerous thing. But anyway, I would like to thank you for the appreciation for the years. Enjoyed my years of service, and some of the people bringing things up, they may not have enjoyed it, but I did. And I'm still alive, still willing to serve in any capacity I can, but getting old, still working, and that type of thing. But I've enjoyed my years. I thank y'all for having confidence in me and keeping me active and going. Just got old.
I do understand that. It's funny, I followed you to just about every place listed except to Ren Yates. And I'm trying to dodge that place, but I'm on the list. But anyway, thank you so much for all that you've done. And your family, I think you still need some pictures, Caleb. If y'all want to get in a little closer, please. Come this way. Yeah. All right. Thanks again. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're down to resolution presentation 8A.
Okay, we're done with that.
We're done?
Yeah.
All right, we're down to hearing of the citizens. Each person addressing the board on the hearing of the citizens shall be a resident or landowner of the county, or the registered agent of such resident or landowner. Each person shall step up, give his or her name and district in an audible tone of voice for the record. Unless further time is granted by the chairman, shall limit his or her address to 3 minutes. No person shall be permitted to address the board more than once during hearing of the citizens. All remarks shall be addressed to the board as a body and not to any individual member thereof. Hearing of the citizens shall last for a maximum of 45 minutes. Any individual that is signed up to speak during said section who does not get the opportunity to do so because of the aforementioned time limit shall be given speaking priority at the next board meeting. Absent chairman's approval, no person shall be able to speak who is not signed up. Okay?
The first citizen we have signed up is Alan Casper.
Thank you, gentlemen. My name is Alan Casper. I'm a resident of Bannister District. I'll be honest, I was hesitant to speak tonight because I truthfully expect much of what I say to fall on some deaf ears. Tonight, you reappointed a citizen to the Fire and Rescue Commission by consent agenda without any consultation of any of the agencies represented in that district. You removed a man from the Southeast District the same way. This shows no respect to the volunteers that answer those calls in those districts. That commission should be a representation of the volunteers. To appoint a man by consent agenda that is a county employee and that is also a life member of an agency in that quadrant, that flies in the face of an impartial representative. But that's already been done. And I've been a volunteer now in this county, fire and rescue, for 40 years. I've been a firefighter, I've been an advanced life support provider, I still do it today. And this is one of the most vindictive actions I've seen in the 40 years that I've been attending these meetings and that I've been volunteering. And I say that if this past election was not a wake-up call to this board and county management, that the volunteers in this county will not tolerate the petty county politics as usual, then maybe the next election will accentuate the point. We're not going away. I wanted to call on you to do the right thing, but it was done before I got up here. We have an opportunity to heal open wounds, not pour salt into them. And that choice is yours tonight, and it's the choice going forward. History can tell us much. Now, comparing world history to county politics, I realize that's a stretch, but in 1789, Marie Antoinette was asked about the disdain and contempt the government had for the people they were there to serve, and she callously replied, "Let them eat cake," showing contempt and disregard for the people, thus beginning the French Revolution. Today, the fire and rescue community feels disdain and contempt from this board. And as I said, we're not going away, and we will be heard again. I hope this board will let this be a time of healing and reconciliation. Don't let this be your let them eat cake moment. Your actions tonight will define the coming year.
Thank you,
Joe Kinsley. Joe Kinsley.
I'm Joe Kinsley, Tunstall District. I don't usually have a whole lot of words. When I say them, I mean them. So I'll tell you this, be short and sweet. Nobody in this county likes this tax assessment. They think it's insane. I've talked to hundreds of people who blame the board for it. And you're probably going to get more phone calls than you ever dreamed of, because the tax assessment does not have any relation to reality. I had the lady tell me that all land, she called it land equalization. Sounds good. I've got 2 degrees. I know what land equalization is. That's communism. She said my land would be worth $6,200 in Danville. I don't live anywhere close to Danville, neither one of my properties. I wanted to tell her land equalization is communism. And then I started reading the code sections and found out it was not followed. Well, if you don't know, I was state trooper for 30 years. So I know how to read a code section. Then I was told by a little bird that a bait and switch would come about, that the board would lower the tax rate to satisfy the outcry of the people. Don't do it. We have to do this reassessment. That's what the code section says. But it does not say you have to accept it. Not one of you needs to accept this reassessment because it's insane. The numbers that they are proposing are pie in the sky They have no relation to reality. There's a lady and gentleman in here tonight who just bought a house that had been on the market for some time. And then, as soon as they bought it, it went up over $100,000 in assessment. The other thing I want you to understand is insurance companies, part of the insurance is based on what the assessment is, what it would cost that house. So guess what? Insurance rates are going to go straight through the roof. Okay, you raised us once, get us again on insurance. There are people who are on Social Security that will not be able to pay this tax. I'll have to help some of them. I'm sure you probably will too. But this cannot go. And you do not have to accept their recommendation. You can vote it down. And I'd love to hear a motion for that tonight, but I know I won't. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Roger Wilson.
Good evening. My name is Roger Wilson. I live in the Axton community, and I am in the Tunstall district. I just got a few comments regarding the ordinances concerning some of the new and ongoing solar panel projects in our county. First of all, I would like to publicly thank Mr. Ingram. He is always willing to take time to speak with my wife and myself anytime we have any issues, whether it's solar or any other issue that we have that affects the county or our community. So thank you, Vic. I also want to thank Mrs. Ragsdale for speaking with me last week. She took the time to address several of my questions and help clear up some of the confusion that I had regarding some of the changes to the county solar ordinance. And third, I would like to thank the Board of Supervisors for your ongoing efforts to develop new ordinances that try to provide a good balance between the solar companies seeking to build projects in the county, the county landowners who wish to use their properties for solar technology, and with the protection of the local homeowners who live in these project areas. And I know that the county has been receiving some pushback from residents around the construction of these new solar facilities. Some of this pushback has been directed at the farmers and landowners who have sold or leased their land for the establishment of solar farms. And I would rather not see this happen as well. But I also understand that time marches on, the way of large farms and an agricultural society are slowly fading away, and that change is inevitable for many rural communities. Farmers and landowners have to make choices that are in the best interest for themselves and their families, and to take advantage of financial opportunities as they present themselves. So I understand and respect their decision, and I feel that any landowner has the right to do with their own properties they see fit, as long as it meets the county's zoning restrictions. On the other hand, much of the pushback is due to concerns over the visual effect that these solar projects will have on rural landscapes. I also want to add that these concerns are not just about solar farms. Most residents would have the same concern if these projects were for establishing things such as a junkyard, a landfill, or a large manufacturing facility right next to their homes or right along public roads in the community. People living in rural communities like living there for that very reason, that they are rural. Rural residents don't like anything being constructed in their community that takes away from the natural beauty and rural feel of that area. However, in my opinion, the Board of Supervisors has done a good job of listening to the concerns of the citizens and amending the solar ordinance over time to address these concerns. I feel that the existing setbacks of 150 feet from any property line and 200 feet from a residential property line. May I have one more minute, sir?
Yes, we've got a lot of people to speak. So.
Okay, thank you. As well as the most recent ordinance change requiring a 100-foot foliage buffer around these projects is a great solution to these issues and should keep most of the new solar project areas visually screened from public sight. With that being said, I would like to address the current Axton solar project that is in the process of being established in the western part of the county. It's my understanding from speaking with Ms. Ragsdale that any amended setback and foliage buffer ordinance only applies to properties that were requested for rezoning after the amended ordinance was put into place. So unless I'm wrong, this leaves some of the Axton Solar project within the original ordinance, which only required a much smaller setback and foliage buffer along adjacent property lines. Because the most recent ordinance does address the visual impact issues that I've mentioned, I would like to ask this board to possibly consider working with the Axton Solar project, I think the company's name is Vesper Energy, to see if they would be willing to comply with the most recently established setback and foliage barrier ordinances on their entire project, or at least along any of their project areas that will border either a public roadway
Wilson,
or
I'll have to
residential
ask you to
property.
wrap it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jeff Love.
Jeff Love, Callan's Gretna District. Transient occupancy tax is a single industry tax aimed exclusively at our local lodging businesses. This tax discourages tourism in Pittsylvania County by making the cost of staying in our area much more expensive than neighboring counties. A 4% transient occupancy tax will result in our guests paying 9.3% in taxes. Pittsylvania County currently has very few lodging businesses, and increasing the cost of staying in the county will encourage our visitors to go elsewhere. Our county lodging businesses already generate local tax revenue through the 1% local sales tax. Our guests also patronize many other local businesses, restaurants, and attractions, which generates additional revenue for Pittsylvania County. Transient occupancy taxes collected by lodging businesses should be used specifically to promote those lodging businesses. Non-lodging businesses and other organizations should not benefit from the taxes that lodging businesses are collecting. We trust that Pittsylvania County will not continue to allow on-site camping at properties that aren't properly zoned as campgrounds, such as the Blue Ridge Amphitheater and Old Dominion Agricultural Complex. Those properties don't have the infrastructure in place to properly and safely handle RVs and tents. Without the proper septic or sewer hookups, RV and tent campers dispose of unsanitary wastewater on the ground, which is a health department violation and a public safety concern. The untreated waste could also contaminate neighboring properties and freshwater sources. Our county campgrounds have made considerable investments to safely and properly accommodate RVs and tents. We recently received another set of paper transient occupancy tax return forms. The new forms haven't corrected the errors that were on the initial forms, and we still don't have an online filing option. We were previously assured that delayed implementation would provide the county with more time to properly implement this new tax. The affected businesses requested detailed and accurate instructions well in advance in order for us to make the proper changes to our systems. To date, the only updated information that we received was mailed on December 15th of this year. That packet only included a revised set of tax returns without any corrections to the errors on the initial set of tax returns. Due to all the previous mentioned concerns, we formally request a repeal of the transient occupancy tax. The county is still not in a position to properly implement the tax, and the local lodging businesses, their families, and their employees will suffer as a result. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Steve Worley.
Thank you, gentlemen, for giving me a listen. I live in Hurt. Mr. Dudley is my supervisor.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to address this tax reassessment. There's several things I'd like to cover, and I know I've got 3 minutes, so I'll try to make this quick. Everything is going up. Taxes, insurance, everything. Today I heard we have 6.5 inflation rate. Well, Social Security is going to give us a raise of a little less than 6%. So we're just breaking even there, just breaking even. We got a 25% increase on gas prices. Everybody's having to pay that when they go to the pumps. You got a 15 to 20% increase in food prices. Everybody in here's got to eat. Now I got a piece of property right here that's got a 92% increase. That's ridiculous. That's double. The property doesn't belong to me, it belongs to my mother. She's 84 years old. She gets a Social Security check. If this goes through the way it's written here, one of her Social Security checks a year is going to go to paying taxes for her land. That's outrageous. There's no sense in that.
I agree.
Now, just like the gentleman said a while ago, when these taxes go up, that's just a start. The next thing is insurance premiums. I'm 65 years old. I'm looking to retire in 8 months. With this junk right here, I don't know that I'm going to retire. Because if I retire, I've got to cut my standard of living to pay taxes and to pay insurance and to pay high gas bills. Now, some of this you can't help. But this assessment, you can help. And I'm looking for your help. Now you say, well, we're going to pass this, I think it was 6%, correct me if I'm wrong, on the meals tax. And I contacted you.
Yes, sir.
And you said, Steve, it's to my understanding that we're going to do this so when the assessment comes around, we'll try to work with you and hold it down. Well, we're going to have to do better than this. Now, I've heard all of you say that you wasn't satisfied with the assessment. I got 25 seconds. Well, that's good to hear. And now, fellas, I'm going to tell you, words come cheap. So we're going to be watching and we're going to be looking. And we want something done about this. My wife and I, we went and talked to this Bright Minds. They got the wrong name. I'll tell you that. When I asked that guy, I said, man, tell me how this property increased double in 4 years. His reply to me was, have you priced a 2x4 or a piece of plywood lately? I ain't worried about a 2x4 or a piece of plywood. I'm worried about your assessment right here. And I said, you've doubled in 4 years. And his reply to me was, the people that done it before us did it wrong. Now, this is what you're dealing with. Now, I can't do anything about it. But you 7 gentlemen certainly can. And we're looking, not just me, but probably every citizen in this county. If they've looked at these assessment values, they're thinking the way I am. We're looking for y'all to help us to get this in order. My time's up.
Thank you, Steve.
John Anderson.
I'm gonna respectfully request that everybody try to stay within the confines of 3 minutes because we've got several folks signed up, and I don't want to meet the 45-minute limit and not give everybody a chance that signed up to speak.
I hadn't planned to speak, so I will be short.
All right,
My
thank you,
name
sir.
is John Anderson, and I'm in the Standard River District. I live at Renan. My wife and I are both retired and living on Social Security plus our retirement. I understand we're getting a 6% about a 6% raise on the Social Security. The problem is I started spending that back last March, buying gas and buying other things that was going up, so that's pretty much wiped out. I live in a house that was begun about in the 1850s as a log cabin. It's, my grandfather built a 2-story part onto it in around 1900, and then we've added wings and so forth in the mid-60s. Other than that, That's it. I haven't done a thing to it since the last assessment. And my assessment this time went up $100,800, 105% on my house. I don't know why. And I need help. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Robin Gord.
Good evening. I'm Robin Gord from the Staunton River District, and I am also the Commissioner of Revenue for Pittsylvania County. I just wanted to address the board because my office has received a lot of phone calls about this reassessment. A lot of taxpayers are unhappy about it. We've tried to answer questions that we could, but a lot of things we cannot answer because it needs to be handled through Bright Minds. And as you know, I work for the citizens of this county. I'm an elected official, so I'm also a homeowner, so I feel their pain. And, you know, it's nothing that I can do at this point, and a lot of citizens do not understand that. The Commissioner of Revenue Office does not, at this point, have anything to do with the reassessment. You know, I have a lot of issues with this reassessment. We've discussed a lot of those, and I look forward to trying to get this rectified in some type of way, in working with the board or, you know, whatever way that we can, you know, but as citizens have spoke prior to me, you know, something needs to be done, and I think the board is aware of that. But I do want to speak to the citizens and let them know that as their commissioner, I will work on their behalf to get something done with this reassessment. Because like I said, a lot of people think that, you know, because I am the assessor of the county, that is my job title or my job description, and so they assume during the reassessment period that the commissioner's office makes the assessments, but we do not. You know, you all hire an outside firm to come in and do the assessments, whether good or bad, you know. And if people don't speak up now, once those records are turned over to the commissioner's office, it's nothing that the commissioner's office can do. You know, they can complain, but then it has to go to circuit court. So, you know, now is the time to try to get all these issues resolved. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, that's it?
That's it.
Okay. All right, we're down to public hearings. Rezoning public hearings pursuant to Article 5, Division 6 of the Pittsylvania County Zoning Ordinance. The Board of Supervisors have been empowered to hear and decide specific zoning issues and zoning map changes in support of said ordinance. In accomplishing this important task, the board is responsible for promoting the health, safety, and general public welfare of the citizens of Pittsylvania County. The board must ensure that all of its decisions and regulations be directed to these goals and that each be consistent with the environment, the comprehensive plan, and in the best interest of Pittsylvania County, its citizens, and its prosperity. I will open public hearing at 7:50. Case 1, case R-21-028. Ms. Ragsman.
Case R-21-028, Gary and Jeanette Short have petitioned to rezone 34.91 acres located on State Road 762 Simpson Lane in the Staunton River Election District from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to combine with an adjacent parcel of land zoned A1. The Planning Commission recommended by 7-0 vote with no opposition that the petitioner's request be granted. Once the property is rezoned to A1, all uses listed under Section 35-178 are permitted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Gary and Jeanette Short are here to represent the petition.
Okay. Mr. Ms. Short, do you have anything you'd like to add at this time? Okay. Any questions for Ms. Ragsdale from the board?
No one signed up?
No one signed
No,
up?
sir.
Okay. I'll close the public hearing at 7:52 and entertain the board's pleasure.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, this is in my district, Stanton River District. So in case R-21-028, I make a motion to approve the rezoning of 34.91 acres from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agriculture District to allow property lines to be adjusted. The rezoning would be consistent with the county's comprehensive plan.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Miller. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously. The property has been rezoned.
Very good.
I'll open public hearing at 7:53 for case number 2, case number R-21-030. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case R-21-030, trustees of Macedonia Baptist Church have petitioned to rezone 2.696 acres located on State Road 750 Green Pond Road in the Callens-Gretna election district from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to allow for a cemetery on joint church property. The Planning Commission recommended by a 7-0 vote with opposition that the petitioner's request be granted. Once the property is rezoned to A1, all uses listed under Section 35-178 are permitted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, I believe Mr. Kermit King is here to represent the petition.
Mr. King, do you have anything you'd like to add, sir?
Good evening. I'll be brief. I know you guys have been up there a long time tonight. But like I said, my name is Kermit King. I represent the Macedonia Baptist Church Trustee Board in the Callens-Gretna District. We are considering we're requesting your consideration for rezoning 2.696 acres of existing church property from R1 to A1 for a new cemetery. Because our church is over 100 years old. And we have a cemetery on one side of the road, and it's filling up due to years of, over 100 plus years of, our members in the community and also our church members, passing on. But like I said, it's just filling up, and we're trying to make some plans to get a new one off the ground and get it started. We have surveyed this land. We had it surveyed off and cut off from existing church property also. And we also, we have a layout and anything, so it won't be just burying people in. We have blocks laid out that's done by a surveyor, a licensed surveyor, so I can answer any questions that you all would have. But thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. King. Anyone sign up?
Yes, sir. John Fuller.
My name is John Fuller. I live at 2309 Greenpoint Road, right across from where they want to put the cemetery. I have lived here for 50 years, and I do not want to look out my door, sit on my patio deck, and look at cemeteries. The church do have other land that they could have put it there and wouldn't been in front of nobody's house. I feel like that they didn't confront me, they didn't ask me anything, nobody said a word until I found out that they was going to do this. I don't think none of you or nobody would want to have a cemetery built in front of your house when you don't have to. They got land on both sides of the church, but they chose the land in front of my house. I think it would cause my property to go down. And my wife, myself, we've been out for 50 years. And I feel like they shouldn't rezone that land to accommodate the church when they can do other land. Thank you. Any questions?
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. King or the church or anything from board members or Ms. Rags? Okay, we'll close the public hearing at 7:57 and entertain the board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, in case R-21-030, I make a motion to approve the rezoning of 2.696 acres from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to allow for a cemetery to be placed on the property. The rezoning will be consistent with the county's comprehensive plan.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please cast your votes. Motion carries 6-1.
Mr. Chairman, I voted no.
I said 6-1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, I'll open public hearing at 7:58 for case number 3, case R-21-0131. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case R-21-031, George Shelton has petitioned to rezone 1 acre located on Mill Creek Road in the Bannister Election District from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to combine with an adjacent parcel of land zoned A1. Once the property is rezoned to A1, all uses listed under Section 35-178 are permitted. The Planning Commission recommended by a 7-0 vote with no opposition that the petitioner's request be granted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Shelton is here to represent the petition.
Okay, Mr. Shelton, do you have anything you'd like to add, sir? No, sir. Okay, thank you, Mr. Shelton. Anyone sign up?
No, sir.
Okay. Any questions from Ms. Ragsdale? Or Mr. Shelton? Okay, I close the public hearing at 7:59 and entertain the board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, in case R-21-031, I'd like to recommend approval of the request.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, please cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Shelton, your property's been rezoned, sir. I will open the public hearing at 8 o'clock for case number 4, case R-21-032. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case R-21-032, Richard and Rhonda Hash have petitioned to rezone 19.29 acres located on State Road 854 Locust Drive in the Tunstall Election District from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District and RC1 Residential Combined Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to combine with an adjacent parcel of land zoned A1. The Planning Commission recommended by a 7-0 vote with no opposition that the petitioner's request be granted. Once the property is rezoned to A1, all uses listed under Section 35-178 are permitted. Staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Mr. and Mrs. Hash are here to represent the petition.
Mr. and Ms. Hash, you have anything you'd like to add at this point? No, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else sign up?
No, sir.
Okay. Any questions from Mr. or Ms. Hash or Ms. Ragsdale from the board? Okay, I close public hearing at 8:01. Entertain the board's pleasure.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, in case R-21-032, I make a motion to approve the rezoning 14.12 acres from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District and 5.17 acres from RC-1 Residential Combined Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to allow property lines to be adjusted. The rezoning would be consistent with the county's comprehensive plan.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're down to 10B, other public hearings. Each person addressing the board under a public hearing shall step up, give his or her name and district and/or his or her place of residency for non-county citizens in an audible tone of voice for the record. And unless further time is granted by the chairman, shall limit his or her address to 3 minutes. Speakers for a group shall be limited to 10 minutes. Speakers shall conclude their remarks at that time, and unless the consent of the board is affirmatively given to extend the speaker's allotted time, absent chairman's approval, no person shall be able to speak who is not signed up. I will open public hearing at 8:02 for revisions to PCC 35-61 and 35-74. Ms. Ragsdale.
In case CA-21-003, George Nadriga petitioned for a code amendment to Pittsylvania County Code Section 35-61 and Section 35-74 to allow accessory structures to be placed between the dwelling and the street on properties that border both Smith Mountain Lake and Leesville Lake. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Okay, does the board have any questions? Okay, did anyone sign up?
No, sir.
Okay, I close the public hearing at 8:03 and entertain the board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I was in the meeting with Planning Commission when we did the recommendation and the 7-0 vote. So with that, I make the motion to approve the revision to Pittsylvania County Code Section 35-61 and 35-74 as attached and presented by Mrs. Ragsdale.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
I have one.
Yes, sir, Mr. Palmer.
Is there any way that this could affect anyone that has a building or structure that would be out of compliance with this? And if so, would they be grandfathered in?
So it would be considered legal nonconforming at this point. The issue has been that the zoning ordinance recognizes the front yard as the yard between the front of the building lot line, which is the front of your property, to the street. And so the code does not allow accessory structures to be placed in the front yard. So properties that border Smith Mountain Lake and Leesville Lake have been required to place any accessory buildings, so garages or sheds or anything like that, between their house and the lake. And so it was petitioned that we do a code amendment to change that so that we're not obstructing the view of Smith Mountain Lake and Leesville Lake. So I don't think that would be an issue. I don't foresee people continuing to want to place buildings between the lake and their house, but any buildings that are currently there would be considered legal nonconforming.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Okay, please cast your votes. Please record a vote. Motion carries unanimously. So we'll open public hearing at 8:05. Public hearing redistricting plan selection. Mr. Arnold.
As you all know, we've been in the midst of every 10-year redistricting project. It started back in the summer with the selection of a consultant, Arkbridge Consulting and Training Services. They prepared for us 3 redistricting plans. We had a public comment period through the course of the whole month of November with a public hearing at the November 16th Board of Supervisors meeting. December 1st, as you all probably recall, there was a called meeting and you all selected Plan A. And tonight, following the public hearing, the Board of Supervisors will be asked to adopt Plan A, and once adopted, county staff will then submit the plan onto the Attorney General for certification. So I'm happy to answer any questions you all might have.
Anyone sign up?
Yes, sir. Willie Fitzgerald.
Good evening, Willie.
Good evening, board members.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Willie Fitzgerald, and I live in the Bannister District of Pittsylvania County, and I'm a taxpaying citizen, and I would talk about the assessment, but I'm not tonight. But I agree with what I've heard, okay? But I come to you tonight to talk about the proposed redistricting plan for the county, and I do not support it for the following reason. It takes blacks back to the era of pre-Bannister District time, where we had no black representation on the board of supervisors or on the school board. That resulted in less blacks being appointed to other boards in this county to serve on boards, commissions, or other public area. This even spills over to the public sector, where they would not hire blacks to key positions in this county to work in industry. All this happened before we was able to come forth with a Bannister District plan. When we had that, I saw progress in this county with blacks. But now we're going back. This also has an effect on the choices that our children make when they graduate from high school and from college, whether to stay in Pennsylvania County and work for lesser jobs or move on. And that has a direct effect on the redistricting plan of blacks numbers going down because they move out of the county. We, as blacks, cannot find qualified jobs or even get appointed to positions that will allow us to serve in this county. So the final analysis is we that are left behind are left here as taxpayers without representation on this plan, and therefore I cannot support this plan. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Dorothy Niels.
Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Supervisors, good evening. My name is Dorothy B. Niels from the Bannister District, representing the Dan River Blast Civic League. We have a resolution in support of Plan A for Pittsylvania County, and it reads, whereas after the passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, there was an earnest effort to get African Americans to register, to vote, and to run for public office. This was certainly true in Pittsylvania County, whereas the first African American to run for public office in Pittsylvania County was Mr. Clifton Lifford. He ran for the Board of Supervisors and lost. Mr. Irving C. Burton Sr. also ran for the office of Board of Supervisors, and he lost. Mr. James D. Adams ran for the seat of Board of Supervisors in the Tunstall District. He lost. Mr. Edward Harrison ran for a seat on the school board and lost. Mr. Danny Jones ran for office of county sheriff. He did not win. Reverend Raymond Ramsey lost his bid for running for the office county treasurer. It was impossible for a person of color to win a public office in Pittsylvania County, whereas in 1970, the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors gave a plan that will allow minority representation on the Board of Supervisors, and the school board were accepted by the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division to form what's known as the Bannister Ministerial District. Whereas the Board of Supervisors created the Bannister District to allow members of the minority population to be elected and serve on boards, commissions, and committees in Pittsylvania County. Whereas 3 prominent African Americans were elected to the Board of Supervisors, Mr. William H. Pritchett, Mr. Jesse L. Boxdale, and Dr. Charles H. Miller, Jr., plus 3 former African American educators were elected to the school board, Mr. Robert G. Niels, Dr. Charles H. Miller, Jr., and Reverend Raymond Ramsey. Therefore, be it resolved that the Dan River Blair Civic League has voted to support the 2022 Plan A for Pittsylvania County. We strongly request and urge that the Board of Supervisors adopt the 2022 Plan A to send to the Attorney General of Virginia. Signed this day, December 21st, 2021, by Dorothy Niels, President. Thank you for this time.
Thank you, Ms. Neal. Anyone else?
Anita Royston.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Anita Royston. I am a member, a resident in Bannister District, and also president of Pittsylvania County NAACP. And I'm here to present a letter regarding the Redistricting Plan A for the County Board of Supervisors. We, the members of the Pittsylvania County NAACP, would like to thank you for acting in a spirit of collaboration and working to ensure that the hard-fought efforts of the people of this area are protected. Your decision to select Plan A reflected an earlier decision of our committee, which came about after we met with Assistant Administrator Dave Arnold, ArcBridge Consultants, and Training Incorporated, and the working group of citizens, which was comprised of members of the NAACP, the Dan River Blair Civic League, and other residents of Pittsylvania County. The ArcBridge Consultants worked diligently to correct the initial flaws in the calculations of the original plan. Together, we were able to generate fixes to the plan which more accurately reflected the electorate of this county. We look forward to strengthening the process born out of this experience. Your leadership is a model for accomplishing goals which impact the effectiveness of the voting process. We also look forward to a continued respectful and respected relationship with the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors. And this is signed Anita Royston, President, Evelina Ross, Vice President, Joan Tarpley Robinson, Treasurer, and Laura Lewis, Branch Secretary. And thank you, Dr. Miller, for making the motion to approve Plan A.
Thank you.
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any questions from Mr. Arnold from the board? Okay. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing at 8:15. Entertain the board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Dr. Miller.
In respect to the input from the citizens of the Bannister District, I have to say, as I said in our last meeting, all of the input that has come to me during this process over the last 6 to 9 months, it has been very clear that the input to me has been in support of Plan A. So I would like to make that in the form of a motion, please.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Dr. Miller, seconded by Honorable Joe Davis. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay. Seeing none, please cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously. All right, we're down to case number 3, solar siting agreement and potential execution. Ms. Ragsdale. I'll open that at 8:16.
Recently, the General Assembly passed legislation requiring that solar projects give notice to host localities that they intend to locate there and then enter into negotiations for a siting agreement. Pittsylvania County has negotiated siting agreements with 3 solar companies. Those have been advertised. You have to hold a public hearing before they can be executed. So this public hearing has been advertised. The siting agreements are for a Firefly project, Hopewell project, and then Hilladale, Curry, and Sourback projects, and you have all those in your packet.
Thank you. Anyone sign up?
Yes, Cindy Reynolds and Sherry Queener.
First of all, I'd like to say good evening to each one of you. We are involved, my sister, Sherry Queener, and I'm Cindy Reynolds. We are involved with the Hillendale project. We are landowners in that project. We feel that it's a good thing for the county and all. It's clean energy. I know there's a lot of people that, has problems and issues with it, but as landowners, it will help with the taxes. I know that, right now, like the other people said, I won't get into that about the property taxes, but it will help the county as far as taxes. It will help the county as far as clean energy. We have adjoining landowners and all that we are all working closely together with for this, and we would appreciate it if you would agree to this in our county.
Thank you. Anyone else?
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any questions from Ms. Ragsdale from the board before I close the public hearing? Okay, I close the public hearing at 8:19 and entertain the board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion. Make a motion to approve the execution of the siting agreements for the Recurrent, Sun Tribe, and Strata solar projects.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Please cast your votes. Please record the vote. Motion carries unanimously. Unfinished business, Mr. Hunt.
No, sir.
We do have new business items, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Mr. Scarce, when he amended the agenda, added 2 items.
Okay. Mr. Scarce.
Yeah, on item 12A, we have finally got the county guidelines on how to distribute the money we had earmarked from ARPA funds to our Public Safety and Fire and Rescue Association. So by approving a motion tonight, we can allow those departments, I know which many were ready to run with utilizing those funds. It gives them the ability to apply using those guidelines, and I hope they'll take advantage of that before the end of the year, which I know they will.
Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to, just as a reminder to the public, we had made this decision to allocate $1 million of those ARPA funds, and then they were put on hold, and we just releasing the hold, I think is what you're saying with your, okay. And it gives the opportunity for our fire and rescue departments to go ahead and apply through the Fire Commission for those funds. Okay, any other discussion or comments on it? Got a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, that's 12A. 12B, Mr. Scarce?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make the motion to give all sworn law enforcement officers in grades 101 to 106 a 10% increase to their current salary effective January 1, 2022.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Discussion on the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say we've been in discussions with Sheriff Taylor, County Administrator, Chairman Warren, and I with trying to keep our deputies. One thing that's happened across all the localities in our area, they're raising their starting pays, which is really affecting the ability of Sheriff Taylor to keep those that he's already trained and paid to have trained to stay on our department. Just specifically, Danville raised their starting pay up to $45K a year, and this is one way that we can try to keep our trained employees, and I think we've got one of the better departments in the whole darn state, and I know Sheriff Taylor is a great leader, and we appreciate all his help in getting these figures together, and I hope it works.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the guys that work for the county. Thank you guys. You put your life on the line every morning when you get up and put your clothes on and go to work. Not everybody can say that. And just want to thank you so much. Pushback from other states and across this country with the blue and the police, but just want to let you guys know you sit back there and you protect the door for us to have these meetings, and I appreciate everything you do. Sheriff Taylor, you okay? I mean, you're all right, but yeah, Sheriff Taylor is one of the best, and I can say that because he's a friend of mine. I can joke around with him because he's a friend, but I want to thank him too for the job he does, and deputies, I appreciate everything you guys do. Thanks a lot.
Any other comments from board members?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Mr. Farmer.
I'm not a member of the Finance Committee, but I do remember at the last meeting this item was tabled. Has there been any numbers presented what this will cost and where it's coming from in the budget?
County staff, do you guys have the numbers on that?
I absolutely want to support this, but however, I don't want to go into it blind without knowing what I'm voting on.
Yeah, it's about a $350,000 cost in perpetuity. You know, you're talking about raising the tax rate in July about a penny to cover this expense. In the current budget, we have cash flow to do it based on vacancy savings because we're so understaffed throughout the county. It's not going to be a hit to this budget, but the people that are going to have to adopt next year's budget will have to raise revenue to get it.
And for me, Mr. Farmer, in the conversations with the sheriff, because I noticed a billboard coming in tonight that was an outside entity advertising for those folks in our county, and it's putting stress on his department to retain people because of the climate, and he presented the option of the vacancy savings to get us through this year, and based on some of the things we've approved just now, you know, I felt comfortable that moving with that will be okay, and I certainly don't want to not fund.
I don't doubt any of that, Mr. Chairman. However, I just did not see any presentation given to me by the our staff, so I was very hesitant to approve something without knowing the details.
Sure, and we're happy to bring Sheriff forward if you would like to comment, any sheriff, on this request.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. Right now, we're at about a 16% deficit in vacancies. And that equates to quite a number from our jail staff and also in the field. The calls for service continue. Each agency within our geographical district in our area have raised their starting pay to include the Virginia State Police. Their starting pay now is between $53,000 and $55,000. So we're constantly in a series of flux, training people, getting them to a point that they can actually be a productive officer here. And yet, every day we're receiving phone calls from other agencies courting our personnel. And this is not my words, this is word from the General Assembly, that over the years, law enforcement has been on the cheap. And it's time that policymakers recognize that fact and pay these gentlemen right now at $42,000, Indeed, which is the recruiter, the biggest recruiter in America. At 42,000, they say that that's 20% under industry standards. So I'm here tonight asking for the board to please help us bring good qualified people here who will stay. It costs quite a bit of money to do the backgrounds, to bring them to a point to hire, to send them to the academy, to get them in a productive state, just to lose them to our neighbors. And that's what's happening. And so I would request that the board would support our efforts in this. And I appreciate your time. And I appreciate the questions about it, Mr.
Any other questions from Sheriff? Sheriff Taylor, no question. I'm going to support it. And I think time is of the essence. That's why maybe it was pushed through under this manner, Mr. Farmer, because I don't know that if we wait 30 days, we might lose another deputy or two. It's just reoccurring. Seems like every night you cut the news on, somebody else has raised their starting salaries just around us. So I'm going to support you tonight, Sheriff, for my vote. So
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Okay, please record the vote. Motion carries unanimously. Any other new business, Mr. Hunt?
No, sir.
Any appointments to address tonight have not been addressed?
No, sir. Those done during consent.
Okay.
We did those during block vote consent.
Are there any additional matters from work session?
No, sir.
There was an agenda change, so we're at board member reports.
Board members' reports. Okay, I'm going to save 3 spots for the gentlemen that are exiting. So, Mr. Dudley, we'll start with you this evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for the 7-0 vote for our police officers. Again, thank you guys for the service that you provide to us. Thank you too again, Mike. Appreciate your guys and the job you do and your friendship. I really do appreciate that. Folks, I want to thank you too for showing up tonight. It's not always bad to speak your opinion, and it's okay, especially when they're getting in your pocketbook. You understand, because we get taxed on this board right here just the same as you. Mine went up a tremendous amount, and this is a process. We're just going to have to work through it. But thank you all for showing up. Appreciate everybody's opinion, and it does matter. Thank you for the folks that come up for other cases other than, just the tax assessment. Appreciate you coming out. Christmas is coming. We had a dinner at the church the other night, and we went around the room and was, saying some things about, this past year and Christmas and different things like that. My father is in pretty poor health, and it's no, problem. When I was a little boy, he used to pick me up, and now I have to go help pick him up out of the floor. He's fallen a lot, and but love those folks that are here while they're here, because next year you could be sitting at a table with a slot empty, and there's a void there, and just if you have your family, or if your loved ones, or if you can have a daddy or mama, call them up. If you're not close to them or anything, call them up, tell them you love them, and spend time with your family. I've found that in the tough times, family is that unit, is how we get through some things. So this year at Christmas time, remember that. Also remember the reason of the season. I remember Adrian Rogers. He's a pastor that passed away years ago. One of the questions that was asked to him, what's the most important verse in the Bible that you've ever heard? And his answer was immediately, for unto us is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. The guy asked him, why would that be the most important? Because if he was not born, he could have never died for you. And friend, he died for each and every one of us. Thank you guys. Have a Merry Christmas. Appreciate you all showing up tonight. Thanks a lot.
Mr. Ingram.
Oh, yes, sir. Tonight, we're saying goodbye to some board members, but I did want to speak about one, and he's quite often been a man of few words, but when he did speak, he spoke with compassion and common sense and a devout love for this county. And I'm speaking of my dear friend, Ben Farmer. Over the past 2 years, we've worked together, and we've tried to do the best we could, but I'm just so grateful for his service and for his friendship. So even though I don't want to see you go, you were counting down the days not long ago, and the days are now numbered. I do want to welcome our new members, Darrell Dalton and Jesse Barksdale and Tim Cheshire. And having said that, I do want to wish each one of you a very Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go alphabetically by our three gentlemen that are leaving us. I'm going to leave your vice chairman speak just next to last. Just sit there. I'll let you know. Shut up. Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, I get the opportunity to be myself. I'm not going to be a politician because I've never been a politician. A politician, ladies and gentlemen, is an individual who lies out of all orifices. And then when they run out of orifices, they make up some more. So I've never did that. I've always called it straight. And you know, I've found out that in the day we live, there are some people, I don't care how hard you try not to hurt them, if it's their day, you're going to hurt them. I don't care how you dress it up. I have never been a politician. I had a friend of mine who said that going into politics is your ambition. That offended me. I didn't go into this as an ambition. This was laid upon my heart. I had a particular fire chief in my district whose brother said to me at the election polls, he said, I think you're David Smithman's boy. Am I your boy, Mr. Smithman? I didn't think so. Matter of fact, I'm his boy, because he's the one that laid it on my heart, ladies and gentlemen, to run for this job, okay? And the good book says that he raises them up and he sits them down. My tenure's up, okay? And that's who I answer to. I'm his boy, always have been, since 11 years old, Harlem Road Baptist Church. I've never been a politician, as I've said. I've been an entertainer. I've taken 4 psychology tests. The 4th one I paid $50 for to get an outside opinion because I felt that the other ones were biased for business and for college. Well, Sheriff, I passed that book. I counted them all up, and I tallied up my scores, and I said, you watch this thing, tell me I need to be in business or politics or something. And I got to the end, and it says you're supposed to be in the entertainment business. So I've always been an entertainer in the political realm. And the reason I say that is these law officers, I appreciate every one of them that's always here. But I want to tell you guys something. I looked up my family tree the other day, and you know what I found? I found 2 dogs using it. So that's the way it goes. For 6 years, I've enjoyed the privilege of working on behalf of the citizens of the Dan River District in Pittsylvania County. And at every turn, at every juncture, at every moment, I have cared only for the long-term benefit of our county and the posterity of all those that will follow. For the shoes we wear on the Board of Supervisors, as Ms. Bowman would know, are very big. And they are not for the meek, and they're not for the faint of heart, because there are going to be some decisions that you're going to make, gentlemen, next year. I'm glad it's you, it's not me. That there's going to come time in your life next year and the coming years, you're going to make some tough decisions. And you mark this down very well. There are not going to be any answers from, say, fire and EMS personnel. There's not going to be any answers from friends. There's not going to be any answers from your wife. There's going to come a time when you're going to not get any sleep at night. Tonight was a good rehearsal, and I'm thankful for all the citizens that feel and say what they want. This is their opportunity, and they have every right to complain to the Board of Supervisors, and I agree wholeheartedly. I'm thankful for politics that's in place that gives the citizens a voice, and we've heard them well tonight, and I agree with them. But there's going to come a time that you're not going to be able to sleep at night. So guess what? This is what happens. Nobody's going to be able to help you. Nobody's going to be able to console you. And guess what? You're going to have to knuckle down and go without some sleep and make some decisions and make people mad and angry. And you got to cater to the voices of the many. You not just a few. You've got to carry out 64,000 constituents, their desires and what they've got to have to keep in civilization. And remember one thing, I want you to get yourself a plaque when you get those nights, and you will, I promise you, if you've got any weight. If you've got any salt to you, I would say that you need to develop yourself a sign that says this: I asked for it. This is not something that you're going to be able to step into, and as I saw a gentleman walking across the parking lot tonight, and he was wiping his boots off. I like them boots, but he's wiping them off. This is not something that you step in, you're going to wipe off. No, 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 not in this game. You get to launch out into the deep where you don't touch the bottom, gentlemen, and there's no touching the bottom in this. The operations of this county, operations as far as the Pittsylvania County staff, you're looking at a pocket watch. It's got more moving parts than a pocket watch. And we're going to find out whether you can swim or whether you can float or you're going to sink. And my advice to you, you better find somebody that floats. You better team up with them. I am proud of the work we have done, ladies and gentlemen, with the leadership and commitment of our fine staff, which have moved Pittsylvania County forward. We have moved the county into the future and away from stagnation, away from barely making payroll, which when I took the board early on, Warren, Scarce, and myself. We won't far from having the state step in and take over. And when that happens, you know what they do? They raise your taxes substantially. They don't care how much you cry, because the Commonwealth's going to make you viable. And we won't far away from that. I won't go into everything, but a chiller we had to borrow $122,000 to keep the judges and the lawyers cool to do their work, to keep civilization in place. We had to borrow money. That's where we were at before. This gentleman come up here from the Tar Heel country, the Starship Enterprise, or Pittsylvania County, I would call him. There's the commander who took us out, who knows how to put together a team of where we were at that Scarce, Warren, and myself were at it previously. And he put together an outstanding team, and that's what you have to have. And I admire him for the work he's done, because I've lived it. And I'm not getting on anybody. I'm not trying to have a diatribe of condescension or condemning anybody. This is just the way it works. We were barely able to make the payroll, away from inadequate wages for our employees, away from an antagonist and placid service authority, away from decrepit landfill equipment where we had vehicles out there with trees growing up in them, away from neglected maintenance resulting in complaints of mold, and most thankfully, mold and most thankfully away from the elected body refusing to invest in our community. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm most proud of this county finally arriving to the 21st century. Against the will of many, we have navigated the choppy waters of complacency and negativity to arrive in the presence of opportunity. For without change, many folk don't want to hear a new word. They don't want that. They don't want a new program because what happens, it drives fear. It's nothing, I'm not used to this. Let me say this, in today's climate, there is no security. There is no security, only opportunity. Jobs, that was the challenge to which our citizens insisted we conquer. We brought jobs and provided choices for you and your families. We have brought nearly 4,000 jobs. Now let that grip you a moment. An industry's coming. There are opportunities that are going to reveal themselves that I'm not at liberty to discuss. But I've had a wonderful opportunity to look at them at my parting as I part from the old land, because I'm headed back to sea. But I've seen tonight the opportunities and the wonders that are coming to this county that have yet to be revealed, and they will be revealed. We brought 4,000 jobs in just the 6 years I have been in this seat. And let me go say to you that when this man right here come up here who developed and used Legos, because it was the way his mind was mapped the first time I met him, and I asked him, and I said, did you play with Legos when you were small? This is the first time I met him. He said, yes, I did. I said, I figured that because of the way your mind's mapped. It takes me about 3 minutes to figure out how a person's mind is mapped, anybody I've ever met. The only one who ever gave me a challenge was 5 minutes, but I got him because his tongue gave him away from the education realm. I asked him, I said, I want you to do two things. One thing, I wanted him to tear down the walls between Danville, Virginia, and Pittsylvania County so that we could work together as a body because we're connected at the hip. He accomplished that. Second thing, I told him I wanted the assets in this county. We've got liabilities. Well, he took the landfill issue and made an asset out of it. And then we hear all these complaints, and all of that is to drive more revenue to drive down lower taxes for the county as well as me, because I'm retired 3 years ago. I'm tired of footing the bill for everybody. And anybody's got property, you know the feeling. We announced $1.4 billion of new investment into Pittsylvania County. We have jobs in automotive, advanced agriculture, plastics, advanced machinery, technology, pharmaceuticals, and many more opportunity for all of Pittsylvania County citizens to have a good job, good paying jobs. You wanted jobs, we got you jobs. Lots of jobs and more on the way. You sent me up here to Chatham to get control of wasteful spending, to get us out of debt. And when I got here, we had a finance chairman that was always betting on next year. And it was always going to be better next year. The pipeline will take care of everything that's wrong with our county finances. Let's skip a few years in debt and payments, he said. Let's pay cash for the animal shelter. That's one of the mistakes I made when I first come to this board, because I was green. We could have borrowed the money on 2% on the money. No, we had to go ahead and get the balance and balance our budget on savings accounts, he recommended. Oh, and let's repeal the trash tax. Remember that? Before the re-election, which further depleted our general fund by more than $3 million. How can we do all of this and still pay the bills? Just wait, it will be better tomorrow. I submit to you that that day never came. The goose with the golden egg never came ashore. The pipeline is still not built, and that's the condition the previous board left us in. And not all of them, because we had some good board members on there. This board, this board. You and me, gentlemen, turned the wishful thinking of the past into action. We paid down the debt, $50 million of it. We added to our rainy day fund after being precipitously close to not having enough cash flow for our employees. We turned a liability into a money-making asset at the landfill. We constructed new assets, services for our citizens. Notice that, services for our citizens. We increased funding to our school system every year. We turned one person's dreams for a better tomorrow into action to determine our destiny. This board hired a professional staff and worked with the executive team to make Pittsylvania County a turnaround case study. We're being studied now from the state. I had a particular board member, a chairman one time, who told me he had my back. He never had my back. He's got my back, ladies and gentlemen, as I sit here today to give you these statements. Our board created a plan to provide internet to every citizen in the county. And those people, I will not mention their names, but they were the negotiators. They're the kinds of people that don't like to be praised. They get the internet, everybody. Fiber optic, state of the art. Just announced just recently, $74 million project that will provide high-speed internet to every home. I fought for that day one. I was told by a former county administrator it's never going to happen in Pittsylvania County, Mr. Davis. I said, oh, really? Said I wasn't going to get a compactor site in Keelan. I said, oh, really? We got that. And it took the back end of my 6-year tenure. We're getting the internet. When I was elected to the board, the complaints were about the internet. And so now we are at the end of my time on the board, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Now we have internet. We did that, my fellow supervisors. We solved the internet riddle. But the Mountain Hill landfill puzzle is still missing a few pieces. It seems that I was made out to be the reason the Mountain Hill landfill exists. It's been there for 54 years, or at least be the reason it can't be closed. For 20 years, Supervisor Neal couldn't do it, and he's a good man. I met Mr. Neal. I told his wife, if I could be half the man he was, I'll figure I've done a good job. But he couldn't get nothing done about that. And many other supervisors in my past never gotten anything done to it or about it. He couldn't do it. Supervisor Scarce, Mr. Bobby Scarce, he couldn't do it, who was my mentor when I came into this. Nor could Supervisor Sneed. He couldn't get it closed. Mr. Cheshire, now it's your turn in the barrel. I wish you luck convincing the Mountain Hill community that Pittsylvania County has regulatory authority over a private landfill. I was sent to Chatham with the support of our outstanding men and women in the Volunteer Fire and Rescue Service and a charge to find ways to support the ever-decreasing volunteer ranks. They wanted more money from the county, more support, more training, more equipment. The volunteers wanted more of everything. Like a good district representative, I set out to make that happen. And with the support of every man on this stage, Mr. Chairman, we got them more. Nearly $2 million in new funding, 5 brand new ambulances at no cost to the volunteers. More insurance. More to provide backup support. More of everything, Mr. Chairman. But guess what, Mr. Chairman? They want more. We didn't do enough. And I remember George S. Patton, the last words he said to his dying wife, Chairman Bowman, said this, I guess I wasn't good enough. More of everything. But guess what? They want more, Mr. Chairman. We didn't do enough. We can never do enough. The honorable gentleman to soon sit in this chair, Mr. Tim Cheshire, should prepare to find more. They always want more, Mr. Cheshire. Mark my words. And finally, in closing, our county is now faced with finding more money, but our citizens want to pay less. I learned recently from Mr. Chuck Angier, fine gentleman from Sandy Level, Virginia, that attends every single board meeting and provides valued insights on the county work. He informed us that little old Pittsylvania County enjoys one of the cheapest tax burdens of all the Commonwealth of this great state. That's right, only 2 counties have less tax burden than Pittsylvania County. Yet our citizens still want to pay less. How do we do that, Mr. Chairman? How do we develop a sports complex? How do we build a new jail? How do we pay to improve our incredible schools without money? Just like the volunteers, everyone wants more. More of everything, please, Mr. Chairman, and send the bill elsewhere if you would do so kindly. We should not have to pay the deputies for the EMS ambulances, for the privilege of throwing away our trash. Taxes are theft, Mr. Chairman. As my successor, Mr. Cheshire takes to this stage to sit in this chair, and Mr. Barksdale and Mr. Dalton take seat in this lofty role, I implore you to take stock of where we are and from where we came. And you're going to have to do research on it, not go by what so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so says. We are no longer concerned with the petty. We are no longer spendthrifts depleting our reserves to fund bad decisions. We are no longer the good old boys cutting corners and passing out favors. And most importantly, we are not sticking our fingers into matters best handled by the professionals that sit on those staffs that have degrees to do the jobs that they're required and they're paid to do. No board member possesses that ability. I said when I first came to this job, I needed a law degree, human relations degree, a business degree, psychological degree. I've got the psychology degree. The Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors is a board of directors providing direction and guidance, setting a course for the future and empowering our executive team to get the work done. For this position is honorary, in my humble opinion. This staff of ours does the work. They make us look good and take no credit for their success. They allow us to sit here and pontificate, I love that word, while they are in the trenches making all the work look flawlessly. My takeaway after 6 years of observing this machine run is that we are all far too inadequate to presume credit for this staff's good work. Mr. Cheshire, I hope you and your cohorts respect the professionals that make us look good and allow them to fly. This county's future is only constrained by the 7 supposed leaders that sit on this table. The world is changing, my friend. Inflation's off like a rocket. Wages are flying too. Tonight we effectively voted on a tax increase to provide well-earned pay to our law enforcement officers. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, every decision has consequences. And that's what the new supervisors will soon learn. Everything costs money, my friends, and the price tag is going up. The odds are against this county next year. November the 2020, let me give you a little quick facts. The bottom 20% of Americans spent $310 more for food. They spent $761 more on energy, $476 more on shelter, and $390 on other commodities. So they saw their consumption really rise. Expenditures increases 6.8%. The gentleman said 6.5 or 6.7. No, it's 6.8%. The middle class, or may I say the 5%ers, they got an increase of 6.1, and on I could go. I'm not going to belabor you with all the facts I've looked at on what we're facing next year. The Federal Reserve has already announced this a week ago. They're going to increase interest rates next year 3 times to accommodate the inflation. The early 20s, $1 what bought one then by $1 today costs you $29 to buy what that $1 bought in the early 20s. That's what this county's facing. Let me say this, 1 player or maybe 2 players, you can play the game. You can play the game. But it's going to take a team effort to win the game next year. And you got this staff that's going to get you guys out of the quagmire and the morass that's coming to this county, and you just got your eyes open with the new assessments. And I did too. Mine went up $80,000. You have a cell phone. I'm concluding right here, Mr. Chairman. You have a cell phone. DC. That's Mr. Edison who gave you the DC current. Mr. Nikola Tesla, he's the one who developed the AC current, which charges your telephone. But I like what he said, and I'm going to conclude right here, almost. He said, the opinion of the world, and this is me, I take reference with this, the opinion of the world does not affect me. Today, I have placed as the real value in my life what follows when I am dead. And so I say in conclusion, those that are coming on board, I'm thankful that you showing up and you getting involved. I'm glad you showed up. I'm glad you took a part and you took the big leap. But let me just say this: don't become too inebriated, or consummated, or consumed with that term, the honorable, and then your name beside it. Because I don't care if it's a judge, lawyer, special interest group, some committee, or whatever. Remember this. That's the last thing they call you when they done called you everything else on at the bus. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Farmer.
Yes, sir. First off, I want to say thank you to the citizens of my district. Getting to meet and develop new relationships with so many wonderful people within the community will be something that will last well beyond me just having the title of Board of Supervisor. And for that, I'm truly grateful and honored to be able to leave this post and insert myself back into the community with my head held high. Over the past 4 years, we as a board have voted on and approved many items. There are several items that have stood out to me that I wanted to mention tonight. First is the merger of the Gretna Fire and Rescue Squad. I and this board had very little to do with it. However, we were required to pass a resolution of support that was submitted to the state when they formally made their request to merge. Thank you to each board member that unanimously voted to support Gretna. Please know that you truly have saved lives, and I know in the future countless more lives will be saved due to the quick response time we've seen Gretna achieve. To all the men and women serving that station, continue what you're doing. Being number one in the county for calls answered is a stressful and tall task to continue. However, I have 100% faith that you're up to the challenge. Next is the Cool Branch Fire and EMS saga with Franklin County. I'm not sure if I consider this a win or not, but regardless, it took a lot of effort and thought from myself and this board. I will give Mr. Warren credit for recognizing the disparity of how funds were being brought into the station when compared to where a majority of the calls were being run. We've moved on for now, but at one time I was unsure of what the ending would be. I was fearful that one outcome could have resulted in the closing of the station. I'm glad to see that that did not occur. Also, we've had to continue to fight for your $230,000 apparatus funding that was approved tonight. This was not easy. It took time and patience. Thank you for believing in me and let me be your mouthpiece on this board. I'm proud to know that the citizens of both Pittsylvania County and Franklin never wavered their support for Cool Branch, nor did they ever lose coverage for EMS or fire calls during this period. I also want to recognize the increased funding that this board has supported during my 4 years to our school system. I have 2 children that attend Pittsylvania County Public Schools, so I get to see firsthand of how dedicated our teacher staff really is. We're also very fortunate to have Dr. Jones, his leadership for our school system. I'm really proud to say that we have supported them, and I encourage future boards to do the same. Also, an item that has seen increased funding during my time has been the Sheriff's Department, and even more tonight. Thank you to Sheriff Taylor for his guidance and friendship during my time on the board. I did not take the time to get to know more of the brave men and women that we have serving and protecting us, and for that I'm truly disappointed in myself. My last major item that I want to brag on before my time in this seat is over is getting 2 solid waste convenience centers built within my district. In 2017, I ran on a platform that said, "A champion for Northern Pittsylvania County." If you saw a map that showed where the convenience centers were located in this county compared to where green boxes are, you would see a major disparity. Thank you to this board for believing in the northern end and helping us have the same amenities of our neighbors in the south. I must also recognize my family, my wife Kate, children Charlie and Helen Catherine. As my fellow board members know, by no fault of their own, they too get viewed in the public differently because of their association to me. My wife has been by my side the entire way. Not only does she carry the burden of having people stop her in the grocery store and give her their opinions of current topics that we may be voting on, but we also own 3 downtown businesses in Gretna. So she actually deals with the public one-on-one more than I do at times. We both appreciate the love and support that many have shown us during our time on the board. However, I'm confident that she would agree with me when I say we are ready to pass the torch on to Mr. Dalton. I would also like to take this time to recognize the entire Blair family. Social media can be a cruel and dark place for people to make comments that have no clue of reality. Because they have successfully owned and operated the family construction business in the community that has provided countless jobs for over 100 years. People think my association to them is tied to either political gain for myself or vice versa. Let me be 100% clear that every member of that family has supported me all 4 years that I've spent on this board by not engaging back and forth with false accusations or comments made on social media, because they each have integrity and are able to rise above. I'm proud to be part of such a humble and hardworking family. I would also like to recognize Mr. Elton Blackstock. Whether he knows it or not, he helped me so much in 2018 as I was learning the ropes. He took time to explain things and really provided great advice. Thank you, Elton, for being a great mentor. In closing, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Darrell Dalton for winning his election. Darrell, anytime you need anything from me, I'll always be there to support you. I'm hoping I'm leaving this seat in a better place than I found it. That's not saying Mr. Hagerman did not do a good job. That's not the case at all. However, I believe it's each of our responsibilities to take the baton from whomever we're handed it from and run with it. Make strides to improve the county, one vote, one decision, one supervisor at a time. For some, that's numerous terms and numerous years. For me, I only had 4. They may seem like an eternity. However, I may be the youngest on the board, but I'm not the youngest in terms of leadership or business management. I've been saddened to see grown men treat each other with such disrespect. I've been saddened to see how people can vote unconsciously without putting their own time, effort, or opinion into the matter. I'm proud to say that I never once voted on any item that I could not justify or give you a reason for. I've served the citizens the past 4 years with professionalism and humility. For that, I'm most proud that I can leave here tonight knowing that I truly had the citizens' best interest in heart and never sacrificed that to obtain popularity or being on the majority side. If you look at my track record, I voted against the grain on almost all highly controversial or headline news votes. For 4 years, I stood firm, never backed down for doing what I thought was right. I told folks when I was running in 2017 that I'm young, and when my term is over, I want to be able to walk into a restaurant, sit down, enjoy my meal without people pointing fingers, looking the other way, or not happy to greet me with a smile and a handshake. And I feel completely confident that come January 1, I can do just that. I hope everyone has a safe and Merry Christmas. God bless Pittsylvania County.
Dr. Miller.
Yes, sir. I would like to say, and I'm not going to take an inordinate amount of time to speak, but I'm going to speak from the heart. And I would like to say that I suspect that there are those in the audience who are expecting me to be very negative in my comments, but that is not going to be the case because that is not my style. I am going to say first that I don't know how in the world Joe Davis got a copy of my speech. I'm going to ponder that. I'm going to ponder that for many months to figure out how that happened. But At any rate, I'm going to start by repeating just a few of the things that he said. And one of the first things is this. When I was given the opportunity to run for this position, there were those people, black and white, who used the word politician. And I said to everybody who said those words to me, I am not a politician. I am a Christian who serves in public office. And I have maintained that, and I've tried to function in that way. Now, going forward, my colleague, Mr. Davis, used a number about $1.4 billion, and I am going to use essentially the same words. The last time I thought about this was back in the fall of the year when we were in the last 4 years just a little south of $1 billion of new industry in this county. And, excuse me, that figure is unprecedented in Pittsylvania County. To have in a 4-year period since 2017, upwards of $1 billion and over between 4,000 and 5,000 people being employed in high five and sometimes 6-figure jobs in Pittsylvania County is unprecedented. That's black folk, that's white folk, that's Asians, that's everybody, men and women. And I am very, very proud to have been a part of that. As I look to my left, I want to say something that I hope will resonate for the next 4 years. I am very aware of the fact, and I'm not going to call anybody's name or make any references, but I am very aware of the fact that there are people who have been and are in the room as we speak, who would like to see our county administrator and perhaps others in the county executive roles to no longer function in the capacities that they presently can function in. And I want to say this. I've been an educator and an evaluator of academics all of my career and past career. I'm retired, of course. I have worked in every capacity in education, early childhood, elementary, middle grades, high school, community college, university, and business college. I have worked in every capacity in education, administratively and as a teacher. And if there's one thing I can do is I can evaluate academic output. And if I never have the opportunity to say it again, I'm going to say it now. This is my opportunity. our county administrator, and I've said it to him, I've said it to my colleagues here on the board, and I've said it in writing. David Smitherman, raise your hand, David. David Smitherman, I can do that. David Smitherman, in my estimation, is a near genius. And I say that for everybody to hear it. When I look at Attorney J. Vaden Hunt, I look at Esquire, I look upon him as one of the best attorneys I've ever had the opportunity to know, and I've known some. I know to a lesser degree our Assistant County Administrator, Mr. Hicks, and later Mr. Arnold, and also Kim, our Ms. Vanderhyde, and our secretarial staff, our technological staff, TI staff, IT staff. I always get that backwards.
That's okay.
But anyway, these people are among the best I have ever seen, and I appreciate them. I have never been at the point of having to ask help from any of them that they have not been immediately willing to do what was asked. And I absolutely appreciate that. When I speak in reference to my colleagues on the board, I say absolutely that as a resident of Pittsylvania County for 69, for all intents and purposes, 70 years, interestingly enough, I'm the oldest man on the board now. That's amazing. But the gentlemen who sit on this board are absolutely the best and most productive Board of Supervisors that has ever been in Pittsylvania County. And I've lived here all of my life. I made the decision, conscious decision, in the mid-70s to come back here to live. I could have stayed anywhere, but I made the decision to come back. And as I get ready to close, as I look over at our sheriff, I am proud to say that the record will show that I have supported every single vote for our sheriff's department since I've been on this board. I have supported fire and rescue 100% every time a vote has come forth. And I could go further and further and further in that regard. And I said I wasn't going to be negative, and I'm going to try not to. But yet and still, there were, during the last 12 months of the campaign, there were people who have never had a conversation with me, never talked with me. I've never seen them here in a meeting who took it upon themselves to write and to make commentary suggesting that the words that I've just said were not true. I have unabashedly been a conservative, and the word conservative has nothing to do with skin color. Not at all. I'm a financial conservative, and every vote that I've been a part of has proven that fact. And I think I will close in this way. I just made a reference to ethnicity. One thing I absolutely sought to do during my 4 years is to, with every vote that I was a part of, I tried not only to think in terms of the good of Pittsylvania County as a whole, I also tried to think in the best way of how will this impact my people as African Americans. And the record will show that more was done during the past 4 years to help advance the livelihoods of those of my ethnic counterparts, black people. And I will close in this way, and I hope this does not offend anybody. But I'm going to say what I'm going to say. It is high time that my counterparts as black folk stop being slaves, and I use that word intently, stop being slaves to a particular party and let common sense rule them in the voting booth. Thank you.
Vice Chairman Scarce.
Wow. I'm going to try to make this as quick and professional as I can. I've been accused of being unprofessional. I'll try to be on par right now. First off, I want to thank all the citizens that came and spoke today about the reassessment. We have been listening, and I hope the Department of Taxation is going to help with their audit to correct the issues we're having with it. And again, this is a tough job, so we're trying to do our best with that. And I secondly want to thank these guys that are leaving the board. Like I said, it's a thankless job, and I could list more accolades, but I think Joe Davis did a pretty good job of 40 minutes, or was it 50 minutes? I don't know. He did a pretty good job of listing all the improvements. I know, and I'm going to say that again, I know this county is better off today than it was 4 years ago, and it's because of the ability of this board to work together. For the most part, we've been a great team and working together, always making the right decisions for the county, and I'll put that record up against anybody in this state. I think we've got the best leadership in the county as far as David Smitherman, and the things that are coming to our county, it's going to show that, his ability to go out and make sure we're getting those big projects in, and I guarantee you the Berry Hill mega site is going to explode soon. Those kind of things, if we didn't have great leadership, we would not be getting the investment and the economic development. And this whole team here has been a big part of that. So I would suggest that anyone leaving, keep your heads high. You did a great job, and this county is better off for your service. And thank you. Tell your families, thank them, because they made the sacrifice with you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I forgot one thing. May I please?
Please.
I apologize for, thank you. I apologize, but I also wanted to say this, and I forgot. I have served under two chairmen on this board, Joe Davis and Bob Warren, and I want to give both of, and as well as Vice Chairman Scarce. And I want to go on record of saying I appreciate both of them and the good work and capacity that they served in. They all three served in. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Yes, I do have some comments tonight to not only to my departing colleagues, but I want to stress to everyone that I've had the pleasure of serving on this board for 6 years. It is a very difficult job. And you're right, Mr. Farmer, you're not in it just yourself. Your family's in it with you. And I can honestly tell you for that 6 years, I have learned from every board member I've served with. I sincerely can tell you that. And I appreciate each one of the people that I've had an opportunity to serve with. Whether we agreed or disagreed on an issue, I value their opinion and respected their decisions. And you're right, Mr. Farmer, there was some times that you and I might have been different on a vote, but we were always able to discuss it and openly respect each other's opinion, and I appreciate that from you. But I want to tell you a little about the last 6 years, and these gentlemen that are departing had a part of, you've heard all about the financial part and all, but you didn't hear about the other parts that play a big part of the quality of life. This board has been a part of, over the last 6 years, of establishing 4 parks for the use of our citizens at our middle schools. That makes a difference. Wayside Park has been redone over the last 6 years, and now, if you follow it, you hear a lot of outside people saying they stopped and how much they enjoyed Wayside Park. It started the reflection of something that can be different and bring life back to the northern end of the county. I truly believe that it has had an impact, a positive impact, on the enthusiasm in the northern end of the county and part of the economic development projects that's come there recently. I do compliment this board on having the vision that we were a county, not just singled out by districts, and trying to assist, whether it was the northern end of the county or the southern end of the county. If it was good, it was for the county, it was good for our territories too. And I do admire each of you for that. We also reestablished the Ringo Walk Trail. $3 million community center was received in the last 6 years for, listen to this, citizens, you got a $3 million asset for $10 in our community center. What does that do? That improves the quality of life for our young folks and helps with their future health needs also from activities. We established the Fire and Rescue Commission. Thank goodness for our volunteers. But we need our volunteers to be able to totally focus on what they do and do it greatly. And that's taking care of the health of our citizens. So a set matrix was established by our Fire Commission to assist with allocations. So it was fair to everyone participating, including in prior years, Mr. Farmer, you would understand this, the northern end of the county didn't necessarily get the same allocations that the southern end did on a percentage basis. That's not right. So through the Fire and Rescue Commission, we've been able to assist in correcting some of those. We increased contributions to public safety and fire and rescue by approximately 75%. But the key was that has increased responses by 14%. That's what saves lives. We were able to use our ARPA funds to get 5 greatly needed ambulances to 5 volunteer agencies. We were able to assist them with additional turnout gear. We could never pay those folks that volunteer enough. It's just not possible. They're invaluable to the county, and I have the utmost respect for them and the job they do. We also have attempted to increase opportunities for education and training for our volunteers. Another quality of life change that occurred is what you've read about recently, the joint effort between the Board of Supervisors and the school board to bring broadband to all unserved areas. No one understands totally yet what kind of impact that's going to have on our county. Both the education of our students and the competitiveness of them as they try to enter the workplace countywide, but also the avenues it will open up for economic development. This board stepped out of a comfort zone and approved the largest event to ever be held in this region with the approval of the Rock Fest. Was it perfect? No. But we thought outside of the box. We've improved the collection sites countywide, in particular with major improvements in the northern end of the county that had been left out for so long. That's an effort of teamwork. And just briefly, I'm not going to talk about the numbers of the financial impact of economic development in the county, but I do just want to read off the names that I could think of off the top of my head in the last 6 years that have either expanded in Pittsylvania County or started afresh. Intertake, 2 expansions. Panacea, Morgan Olson, Tyson Foods, Air Farms, Walraven, Harlow, Unison, MEP, Stanton River Plastics, Kyocera, BGF, Amthor, Eastern Panel Manufacturing. Did you hear all of those, folks? Did you hear all of those? We are the envy of the state of Virginia. If you don't believe it, listen to the governor that has spoke recently. Pick up a Virginia Economic Development magazine and see who's always talked about. And that's been our executive team and this board working together to create those. How did it happen? It happens with teamwork and thinking outside the box. This board attempted and did successfully complete a relationship with Marcus and Millichap, which are recruiters for economic development projects that assisted the county in bringing some of these economic development jobs. You know, you don't always hear about the background of Marcus and Millichap helping with economic development. You hear about our departments and you hear about those things. But this board approved that move to use Marcus and Millichap, and it paid dividends. This board also approved the development of a relationship with Realty Link, which is a development company that secured the property that Air Farms is going in, and are working on additional deals to bring them to Pittsylvania County. That had never been done in Pittsylvania County before. Again, these men thought outside the box to change the county, along with the executive team. We have engaged in building a shell building because anyone that is involved in economic development understands that you have to have a product, whether it be the land and pad-ready sites or whether it be a building, because economic development projects will not come. You will be passed over by sites that are site-ready. So we entered an agreement to build that building, 30,000 square foot building in the cyber park with our partners from Danville. Yes, our budget has improved, we paid debt down, and we are in a stronger financial position from our fund balance. Those decisions were often hard to make, but we had to get ourselves in strong footing. And while doing all of these things, I want to remind you that this board also has approved salary studies that eliminated the compression issues and the unfair pay that the employees that Pittsylvania County employ. And I'm really proud of that because that has increased their quality of life. And they, for many years, were underpaid because it has always been everyone's dream. None of us want to pay taxes, and we want to keep taxes down. But we can no longer do that on the backs of our employees because we won't have good employees because the market will take them away from us. Just like we talked about tonight with the approval of the sheriff's budget. If you want to keep good people and have a good future for this county, you got to be willing to pay your people. So I'm very proud of this board. I'm very proud of every single man that I've had the pleasure to serve with the last 6 years. And I've made some friendships that I know will be lifelong. And for that, I am truly grateful. And as these gentlemen depart, I would just like to make this last statement. You're leaving and leaving a great legacy that will be hard to duplicate. And I appreciate you and your family's willingness to allow you to sacrifice your time for the greater good of Pittsylvania County. Thank you. Mr. Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been a pleasure working for this board the last 2 years, and I look forward to working with the next board in the coming 2, and wish the departing board members best of luck. I do have some good news. We've got a lot of good things going on in our pet center. One particularly I want to tell you about is that we had 70 cats adopted out today through transfer, 50 to Maryland, 20 to Richmond. Mr. Weinkauf's doing a super job down there, and his staff is also performing at the highest they've performed to date. So we're proud of what's going on at the Pet Center. I do want to tell you, unfortunately, we do have an employee in the intensive care unit, I believe in Danville, with complications from COVID. I'm not at liberty to disclose the name publicly. I've not had a chance to share this with the board, but we do want to keep our thoughts and prayers with this person as they are challenged with the COVID. Finally, I do want to, or let me first say that your staff will bird dog this reassessment project. We are no happier than you. What the public may not understand is that this process is very much an arm's length transaction. It's not something we have our hands in, that we can manipulate at the board level and the administrative level or the commissioner's office. You know, this is a neutral third-party assessment of which we're not very happy with the results of. Most importantly, I've done this several times to individuals, I want to do it to our public, and say that I am sorry for the poor customer service our citizens received during this informal appeals process. It was overwhelming, the demand, but that's no excuse to get the number of complaints we had about the customer service our citizens received during the informal appeals process. And we have addressed that, and we are addressing that with the contractor. We do look forward to having the tax division down to put another set of eyes on the product to see where the problems are, to see if those problems can be fixed, and to see how to make chicken salad out of this problem as we go forward. Finally, I wish everyone happy holidays and Merry Christmas. I look forward to 2022. Thank you very much.
Mr. Hunt, do you have anything?
I do. I want to say I'm very proud of this board for how much we've advanced the ball this last year. It's a great board to work for. I'm truly going to miss the 3 departing members. I consider them friends. I'm proud of the way they handled themselves on this board. They will be missed. Please don't be a stranger. And I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Take time with your families during this time, and I look forward to 2022.
Thank you. Would also, as chairman, like to extend to everyone a Merry Christmas, and now entertain a motion that we go into closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we go into closed session.
Do I have a second? Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing
Okay, we may have to do that verbally. Who made that motion?
I made the motion.
Who seconded it?
Mr. Davis?
Take the second.
All right, we'll do roll call. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
Yes.
Mr. Farmer?
Yes.
Mr. Ingram?
Yes.
Dr. Miller? Mr. Scarce?
Yes, Emily.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Sure. The board returns to open session at 10:06 p.m. We will now certify the closed session. Be it resolved that Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors meeting on December 21st, 2021, the board hereby certifies by recorded vote that to the best of each board member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and identified in the motion authorizes closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting. If any board member believes that there was a departure from the requirements of the act, he shall so state prior to the vote, indicating the substance of the departure. The statement shall be recorded in the board's minutes. Caitlin, are we doing this just roll call?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
Yes.
Mr. Farmer?
Yes.
Mr. Ingram?
No.
Okay. Dr. Miller? Mr. Scarce?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes. All right, we're first addressing from the Personnel Committee, the county attorney's employment agreement.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Davis.
I make a motion to amend the agenda to take action on the two items, Resolution 2021-12-09. Is that correct? And Resolution 2021-1209 as discussed in closed session. Resolution 2021-12-08, I make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-12-08.
That's
No, let's-
clearly Mr. Hunt, or is that?
We're gonna do 09 first.
Yes.
Let's do them separately, okay?
Because two motions, okay.
09 is Mr. Hunt's resolution.
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay, Mr. Hunt.
I'm just doing this for Ben, yeah.
All right, so we have a motion and a seconded by Tim Dudley. Who made the motion?
You did it.
I made
Just,
the okay.
just to clarify, this motion is to amend the agenda, correct?
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So I got a lot of paperwork here. Okay. So I'm seconding. I mean, Mr. Dudley seconded. Is there any more conversation?
Is any more, that's on me. Is any more discussion on the motion?
Pardon me.
Okay, please cast your votes, gentlemen. You gonna second it, Mr. Dudley?
Yes, sir. I don't know that we've got a, you got it. Mine says.
Mr. Davis, seconded, Mr.
Yep.
Davis. And then you corrected.
I got you. I'm sorry. I apologize. I jumped the gun.
Okay, so the motion to amend the agenda, who made that motion?
Mr. Davis.
All right, let me set that. Something's going on with the software. All right, and the second was Mr. Dudley?
Yes,
Correct.
just switch our names. Second first, yeah.
Do you all see a vote on your end?
Yeah, it says closed session is the
Closed
title.
session, 15.
It's up here.
I voted.
Okay, everybody's voted.
Okay, my screen is hung and it's not even showing me. That's okay, let's take roll call.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Dudley,
Yes?
Mr. Scarce,
Yes.
Mr. Farmer, Mr. Ingram.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, now we're down to the individual items. So this is 2021-12-09.
Which is a resolution concerning the employment agreement for county attorney.
Correct.
Okay, Mr. Davis.
I'm going to make that motion to approve the resolution number 2021-12-09.
Motion made and seconded by Dr. Miller. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I'll make a quick discussion.
Okay.
I would like to appreciate all the hard work Vaden's done, and if he'd asked for more, I would have paid you. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Okay, please cast your votes.
Have you hit your second yet, Doc? There we go, Boo.
Please record the vote. Motion carries 6 and 1 abstention.
I'm showing 7-0 on mine.
Mr. Farmer, you going to stay for this next one?
Yeah, I'm abstaining.
Okay. We're down to Resolution 2021-12-08, County Administrator's Employment Agreement Amendment Number 1. Mr. Davis.
Yes, sir, I make the motion to approve the resolution 2021-12-08.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I would like to thank Mr. Smitherman for all his hard work over the last 4 years. The audit that we had done today for this year's budget showed significant improvement. Over almost $10 million have been added to the unassigned fund since 2017, and that kind of stuff people need to hear about. So I would love you to give me a list of all your accomplishments since you've been our county administrator. That is huge. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Stairs.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, sir, Mr. Ingram.
You know, this whole thing is so wrong because when I came on this board, I voted in favor of a contract extension and a raise. And here, 2 years later, we given him a golden parachute based on rumors and innuendos, nothing factual, nothing proven, but yet you want to jack up his contract because you heard something. That's not the way to do business. And I'm voting no.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram.
I've got a comment, Mr. Chairman. Perhaps if you weren't lying all the time, Mr. Ingram, then we wouldn't have this issue. You're the problem here, not us, on trying to increase his pay and make sure that he stays with us and continues the good progress we've made over the last 4 years. I know you weren't part of it for the last 2 years, but most of us have been.
And secondly, Mr. Chairman, is he's been censored and he's irrelevant. His statements are irrelevant. I'm sorry for that.
Let's stay on task. Let's stay on task, gentlemen.
Speaking of lies, you well documented.
Okay, let's stay on point. Any further discussion or comments? Okay, please cast your votes. No. Motion carries on 5 yeses, 1 no, and 1 abstention. Meeting adjourned. No further business come before the meeting.